I'm
Cheer.
38. Yeah! You're all heroes. Thank you so much. 1,000 likes. Liverpool have been but we done that bit. That was fun. Thanks very much for getting involved, guys. Every single one of you deserves the praise.
Absolutely nothing's happened in
Get some flames in the chat. Enjoy yourselves. Go on. There's cheering going on. Gaz gives it a yes. So does Rebecca as well. Yeah, here we go. We've conquered all the likes and we're never going to stop. Absolutely. Thank you. Well done to all of you. Thank you so much. That was lots of fun. The final whistle has gone at Anfield. Then Liverpool have lost against Strasbourg like 3-0. A very youthful looking Liverpool side. And Dan, the second half was actually quite, Liverpool were all right, but the first half was just the inexperience of youth told, let's put it that way.
Yeah, when it all boils down to it, it was 3 mistakes, wasn't it, in the first half? And the pattern of play, particularly second half, very much reflected a Premier League game in terms of us dominated, being camped in their half a little bit. They were keeping the shape, trying to make it difficult. So, positives to take from the second half, as much as it wasn't particularly pleasing on the eye, but just got to say, I mentioned it a few times during it, Harvey Elliott was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal second half. Brilliant.
Yeah, for those who are listening along now, by the way, if joined us late, Ste Hoare here with Dan Clubbe and Steve Plunk. Let's have a little bit of chat. First of all, well done everyone in the watch along. With seconds to go, we hit the 1,000 likes, so thank you very much. Yeah, it feels like a winner, says all the chat. Yeah, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. We ended the stream with like 1,000 people watching. Everyone must have pressed it, so thank you very much. Steve, let's go back to the game, which is what people are here for now. A bit of a debrief. The young lads, like, I hope it doesn't scar them too much. It's a learning curve. So I said this earlier during the show, through school football, Maguire and Chambers will have always been the best player. Everywhere they've gone, they'll have been miles better. And all of a sudden, they're at home at Anfield and they learn a bit of a lesson. And it was 2 bad errors, and I think they'll both know that is what it is. It's not the end of the world, it's a friendly. But for them two now to go away and go, right, fair enough. That's where I need to be. If I want to be anywhere near the team, if I want to be the next Trent or the next whoever it is, the next Curtis Jones, my level needs to go from down here to way up there. That's a good learning curve for them.
Every club legend that's pulled on a shirt has made a mistake when he was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And he will look after them. Klopp's the right man to be in and around the team when you do that. There were bad mistakes. They were switched off, the pass inside, which was ridiculous. But those are... You only get better when you learn from your bad experiences.
Yeah.
So we're sat here now, having lost the game 3-0, and our highlights been hitting 1,000 likes, which was great fun, by the way. So well done to everyone who did it. But that's about miles on the clock, isn't it? Game time experience. That doesn't tell us anything ahead of the season about any of those players, really.
No.
Dan's right. Second half, Harvey Elliott was head and shoulders the best player on the pitch. Ridiculously good second half. He's probably played himself right into contention for the Fulham game. If there were question marks, there might not be now, but it's miles on the clock. It's time on the pitch. It's maybe Jurgen Klopp learns a little bit more. Well, obviously, he learns a little bit more than we do because his trust is a big thing for him. So he's looking at these young lads and he's thinking, there's some work to do with them to get them to where I want to. And I've got this thing in my mind about the domestic competitions, the League Cup and the FA Cup. We put that to bed last season.
He might go really youthful in them.
He might go back to what he did before because I do wonder how much was left in the tank for particularly the Champions League final, having played an FA Cup final 10 days before. So it's an interesting one, but these guys have got to experience those games. They've just played at Anfield in front of a good-sized crowd, and it hasn't gone well. So that's how you get your education. That's how you learn.
Suppose, Dan, we'll speak about positives in a minute, but the obvious negative, the results, whatever it is, is obviously Konaté goes off with a knee injury. We don't know what it was. It was from a collision. It wasn't like a twist in the ground or something, but you just don't know with knees how he was. He got up, carried on, and then looked in a bit of pain and had to hobble off. He went straight down the tunnel after a brief chat with Jurgen. Mm-hmm. It can happen. You've got friendlies, impact collisions can happen, but I mean, now I suppose, fingers crossed, it's nothing too serious for him, but he looked at quite a bit of discomfort as he hobbled off.
Yeah, he did. It was a big collision, wasn't it? It was knee to knee, and they're never pleasant, regardless of sort of the long-term impact of it. And going off at the time, Matt had just been precautionary. That's obviously what we hope. Because no point risking it. No point risking it anyway in a pre-season friendly, but particularly when it's 3-0, and you're surrounded by players that you're essentially not going to be playing with at any point during the season, apart from Joe Gomez, obviously. So, yeah, we can only hope that there was not a lot to it. Goes off, gets some ice, get compressed, and then maybe has a day missing training, has a recovery day tomorrow, and then he goes
crossed.
again for the weekend. Yeah,
I say we'll find as soon as I'm guessing by the time you're maybe listening to this, if you're not listening live, by the way, you might know more about it. But obviously keep an eye on the Redmen socials and all stuff. As anyone updates us, Paul is there at the ground in the press, but we don't know who he's going to speak to and stuff like that. Stay, I suppose, from the other point of view of if you're looking over standout players, did anyone else catch your eye other than Harvey?
I thought Joe Gomez was solid in the second half as a right back.
He looked good at right back.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a feature of his career in Liverpool going forward.
He's probably, I would guess now, if you had to say next season, when's he going to play more often? I bet you he'll play more games at right back than centre back.
Yeah, we don't really know where Calvin Ramsey is in terms of his integration.
Well, he hasn't even kicked the ball yet, has he? So he's going to be a while away.
Exactly. Yeah. So we might see him second half of the season. It's not the first time we've had someone come to the club and they take a little while to bed in. Like you look at Fabinho and Robertson, didn't happen from them straight, and we didn't buy Calvin Ramsey for a starting berth either. I think Joe Gomez is your first choice right back cover, and he's your third or fourth choice depending on who you talk to. Centre back, so he's got options to play, and I think he'll get a bit of game time this season. I said before, my worry is that he's a guy that needs 6, 7, 8 games to really get in a flow, and I don't see him getting 6, 7, 8 games in a row.
Unless someone's injured, unfortunately.
Which we obviously would be a disaster because of what Trent gives us, but it's not impossible. So I think looking at it, he's been spoken to about. Listen, it's a step down to leave Liverpool Football Club if you're Joe Gomez to go to someone like Aston Villa. No disrespect to Aston Villa, but you don't very often go on to greater things when you leave Liverpool Football Club. Xabi Alonso might be the argument in that regard. Doesn't make sense to leave Liverpool Football Club at 25 years old, does it?
No, absolutely. And especially if you're going down a step. Your Alonso's and Mascherano's went to Madrid. And
course,
that Joe Gomez wasn't getting that move. Dan, I want to speak also about Carvalho. So he played up front for the entire game pretty much there.
Yeah.
And Steve was right to reference Jürgen to say when we signed him, like he can play a number of positions, including false 9. Like, I would be shocked if he played there, to be honest, much this season. But again, it's just another option he's got if he's going to get minutes on the pitch, because we've got Bobby, we've got Nunes, we've got Jota. But maybe he is fourth in that line, maybe because. But I thought the service wasn't great, and he didn't really get into it. But what did you make of his performance, and what do you make of him as a potential number 9 going forward?
I think he did okay. He showed bright touches, and he got away. He won a couple of free kicks in the first half, which resulted in long-range speculative efforts. But yeah, I think he did okay when he got hold of the ball. You're right, the service wasn't particularly fantastic into him. But yeah, I think fourth choice is probably a fair assessment. I don't think we'll see much of him in there. I think we'll see more of him potentially slightly deeper and from the left. I think that's where he'll get most of his football. But Steve referenced it earlier in terms of domestic cups. I agree. I think particularly early rounds will go really young. So there might well be a case for him to start in a couple of them through the middle. And having a player... I said earlier, when we signed him, I was really interested just to see where he played more often, because he seems to play all over the place. So having a player that can do that is not a bad thing at all. And the same could be said for Harvey Elliott. We've seen him play right wing and attacking midfielder. So no issues with him being able to play in different areas. No,
I tend to agree. I think we're definitely going to see a lot of him. I think that's fair to say. He's going to be in most match day squad. We'll just see how it all pans out. I suppose the last one, someone in the chat mentioned Bajcetic again, and he's been someone, Steve, that we've spoke about quite often after these pre-season games. He's a young lad. There's a lot to learn and a lot to do physically as well. But like technically, he doesn't look that far off it already. Obviously, his body, and he's got lots of developing to do. But with the ball at his feet, that kid's got something. There's something about him. I'd be interested to watch him for the under 21s or whatever this season, because he looks like he's got a bright future. That kid
got real footballing IQ, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he knows when to let it go.
You can tell he's a product of Spain, if that makes sense. Like you can tell he's come through the Spanish system.
Technical.
You can give him the ball wherever, and it doesn't seem to worry him.
Exactly. Yeah,
and that's a trait in Spanish football in midfielders, isn't it? So we said off air before, he could save us 50 million quid at some point in the future, because you know the likes of your Henderson and your Fabinos don't last forever. But at 17, showing us what he's shown, he's been a real pleasant surprise in pre-season for us. Real positive. Probably one of the greatest positives. Yeah. He'll play a few games in the domestic cups this season, and rightly so. Yeah,
especially if Tyler Morton goes out on loan.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a really good point you make, because if you look at Tyler Morton and you look at Bajcetic, you can't say Tyler Morton's in front of him, because from what I've seen in terms of giving the ball and what he does with it, I think he's been better than Tyler Morton.
Tyler Morton's he's been in the gym. He's filled out in that.
Yeah,
longevity,
he needed to, didn't he?
But
Yeah.
technically, I think you're right. I think he might, even if there was a pecking order, he might.
And
have
that's not knocking Morton, because
just different players.
players develop and come to the fore at different stages in their career.
Yeah.
He just looks like he's really comfortable, really technically gifted on the ball. The free kick was good technique to get it up and over the wall. He doesn't look phased. At 17, he doesn't look phased. I remember listening to Jamie Redknapp say the first time he saw Gerrard in a training session, he turned down a 5-yard pass to someone like a legend of the club, and hit a 60-yard ball. And then in the next phrase, he absolutely smashed somebody. He got no right to smash them. That's having the confidence in your own ability. And you see that in that young lad, and that's high praise indeed to liken him to Gerrard in that regard. But it's only in the sense that he's got lots of self-confidence.
You can tell he backs himself, doesn't he? Yeah, right then we'll round things up there. Stay down. Thanks very much for giving up your Sunday afternoon / evening to come and join us. Yeah, Liverpool lose their final pre-season game 3-0 to Strasbourg. It's been a very mixed pre-season in terms of results, of course, but that doesn't matter. Fitness in the legs. Hopefully, Konaté's injury isn't serious. Touch wood on that one. The season is now upon us. Fulham, here we come. Stick with the Redmen TV for all the build-up this week. We've got you covered. Right from now, right the way till the end of the season, where maybe Liverpool lift a big trophy in Turkey once again. Who knows? We'll all find out. Thanks very much for listening or joining or watching the show. We'll catch us all later. Goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us on this video. Do drop a like and share it on social media if you enjoyed. And if you want more from us, please do consider joining Redmen Plus, our Liverpool streaming service. Get access to documentaries about Liverpool legends, past and present, interviews with Liverpool legends, past and present, and more Redmen shows each and every week in video and in podcast. It's redmenplus.com.